1. Currently only 2 weeks into a year-long lease with a roommate that, in my opinion, did not advertise the space or communicate her preferences and intentions adequately, in need of desperate help. First of all, she posted the listing with the description of neurodivergent friendly, because she has ADHD, so keeps the common spaces messier than most. I was okay with this and willing to accommodate for that, with the assumption that neurodivergent friendly would also accommodate for my sensory processing disorder and my noise sensitivity. I had screened said noise sensitivity by her in our introductory meeting, which she said she understood. Flash forward to me moving in, and I was not aware that she is somewhat hard of hearing, so requires the TV to be at ridiculous volume with bass-boosting surround sound speakers. Until about 1 a.m. every night. There have been many compromises she has asked me, like keeping all of my windows shut to regulate temperature, which I have happily obliged to do. I have only ever asked one request of her, which is to in some way figure out how to control the TV volume so my spaces cannot be impeded by it, and I can actually live and sleep in peace. i.e., simply turn it down, soundproof room, use headphones, use captions, move to bedroom, all of which she was unwilling to do. The only thing she begrudgingly agreed to was a weeknight noise curfew, and even then she made a comment about how she's a 31-year-old woman who has never had a curfew imposed by a housemate before. Worst of all, in my first 2 weeks of living here, she has invited guests over 9 out of 10 nights consecutively, 8 of those being her boyfriend. She did not disclose to me that she had a partner before I moved in, and I had no idea she intended to have him around so often. Yes, I have had a stranger in my house for around 90% of the time I have moved into my brand new living space. I have been requested not to interact with them while they're in the common areas, so literally have not said a word to him in the last 2 weeks. He is essentially a complete stranger to me. Finally, in this big chat, she had the gall to say she put so much effort into making space in the laundry and pantry and linen closet, i.e. common spaces, as if it was a favor. In reality, I had already been paying rent for a full week before she had actually moved her things and made space for me. Yes, when I moved in, I had to keep my food in my bedroom, until she actually bothered to take her things out of the space I was paying for. And for some reason, I meant to be grateful about that. Not to mention so many little things about how messy she keeps the living spaces. That she has a cat and only cleans the litter box maybe once or twice a week, so the house stinks of dirty water. That she's 8 years my senior yet doesn't feel like it at all. Yes, I will probably have to move at some point, but just looking for some thoughts on if I have the right to be pissed about having to spend so much time and money moving here just for everything to be so difficult, literally only 2 weeks in. Thank you so much for any help, advice, or opinions. It is greatly appreciated. Hellfreezer's note. Yeah, I'd say you have every right. You've already clearly made up your mind about moving. Great. As soon as you have an opportunity to do that, get your butt out of there, go somewhere better. Hopefully better. But it sounds more like this person wants the benefits of a roommate, i.e. the money to help pay the rent, but none of the compromises. She obviously likes her space and things done her way. You are essentially just a guest in what she sees as her house. So, when you get out of there, don't look behind you. You won't have lost anything of value. 2. I live with an alcoholic hermit man-child. I moved in with him 2 years ago. At the time, we were relatively close friends and had been for multiple years prior. We have close birthdays and would celebrate together every year. No reason to expect things would turn so sour. Fast forward to now. He no longer interacts with me in person. He willfully ignores me when I address him by name. I have spoken more words to Drake in person than I have with my roommate in the last year. He exclusively moves around the house when I am not home or asleep. If I'm home at the same time he's home, he'll only go to the bathroom or leave the house, nothing else. Not even getting water from the kitchen. I hear cans getting cracked from his room 24/7, sometimes upwards of 10 in an evening. I know they're White Claws because I've seen the piles on his floor. Dude is getting hammered on a regular basis. He also refuses to do any of the housework. I have never seen him touch the broom or vacuum. He doesn't take out communal trash. He'll just drop his dishes in the sink and never does them. He'll shave his beard and pubes and just leave hair all over the bathroom. He'll shit and leave streaks and not clean them up. There's a sickeningly sweet, funky odor emanating from his room at all times. Occasionally, it's modified by whatever Uber Eats meal he has in his bedroom. He never buys toilet paper, but uses a disturbing amount of it, like a roll every 2 days. He's never bought his own laundry soap, but I don't know if he even washes his clothes, so I guess that's low on the priority list of issues. He has the audacity to ask me for his portion of utilities all the time, via text of course, since he refuses to speak to me, and then be late on our rent payments. There are times when he won't leave the house for over 3 days at a time, and because we haven't spoken in almost a year, I have no idea what he's doing for work. He's out of here in July, but I just needed to rant. Thanks for anyone who listens and commiserates. I just miss him being my friend and want to live with an actual, real, responsible human again. I have hope for reconciliation, but the ball is in his court. I can't send another "I care about you, please talk to me" text. Maybe one day he'll get his head out of his ass. 3. Before we moved in together, 2-bed, 2-bath apartment, we worked together before she left for a better paying job. We also talked about boundaries and what we expected of each other, and what we would be willing to compromise on, and what we didn't mind. She's a 25-year-old woman with 2 kids, a 4-year-old girl, 3-year-old boy, and I am a 28-year-old woman. Have lived with kids before. I worked in a daycare for the last 3 years. I'm not unfamiliar with kids and their behaviors. The first month we moved in together, I wasn't really home because of fulfilling my military obligations. When I got back, it was straight into being a full-time student, since I was no longer active duty and transferred into the reserves. That's not an issue. The first 2 months of us actually living together were fine. We got along well. I played with the kids so she could get some of her schoolwork done. The days she had the kids, I didn't mind picking up some of the slack when it came to cleaning up the kitchen. I didn't mind the living room being a mess while the kids were there, because kids are messy, and it really doesn't bother me, since all their stuff was picked up the night before they went to their dad's. I'm not super clean myself in my personal space, but the kitchen and common areas are spaces I feel should be pretty clean most of the time. Like, just pick up after yourself, clean the crumbs off the counter, you know? Well, it got to the point where the days she didn't have the kids, the dishes would be piled up in both parts of the sink. All the pots and pans and utensils were dirty 3 days after she didn't have the kids. I got pretty busy about mid-November, between my obligations to the reserves and finals just around the corner, so I'll admit I was slacking on the dishes too. And honestly, I just thought it was the stress of holidays coming up, and that she wouldn't have the kids on Christmas Day, and was just kinda depressed. She does get treatment for her anxiety and depression, but since moving in together, she, as far as I know, don't have time to go to her own appointments, and uses her anxiety meds sparingly. I have also been treated for anxiety and depression, so I know what triggers me and the signs to look out for when I start spiraling, and go back to the basics so I don't start having anxiety attacks again. Well, holidays come and go. I was still doing all of the cleaning in the kitchen once the semester was over, increased my workload at my part-time job to make some extra money before the new semester started. She never emptied the dishwasher, hardly cleaned the kitchen, including just putting the dirty dishes in the dishwasher. It got a little chilly here, and she had turned the heater on and put it at 80 degrees. The lowest it got during the night was about 55. I left for work at 4:30 a.m., came back at 9:30 a.m. to the apartment feeling like a sauna. She had the shower going at the highest temperature it could go, since she had the door open and all the steam was coming out. The walls and windows were so built up in condensation it looked like they were crying. I immediately turned the heater off and opened up the windows, because it was way too hot that I was sweating after maybe 5 minutes of just standing there. She simply stated that it was too cold for the kids, which I understood, but 80 seemed a bit much. And I asked for how long she had it on for, and she said as soon as I left for work, she turned it on. So for 4 hours we had the heater on at 80. Some days go by, and I calmly talk to her about our bills, as they're going from 60-ish a month for gas and electric to now 100 a month. We split everything 50-50. I stopped sending her money for my half of the Wi-Fi, since it didn't make sense sending each other money this way and that way. And I had been covering the gas and electric for more than her half, since I could afford to pay an extra $20 a month. Since she had voiced that her ex-husband was barely sending her $100 for child support, and she was considering getting a third job. So, I thought I could do this to try and help. Back to me trying to talk to her about the gas and electric being $100 and our water bill going up. I mentioned to her that I also take long showers and will be cutting back, but she also needs to cut back on how long her showers are. We can't be putting the heater at 80 whenever it gets cold, and if she and the kids are cold, I have a bunch of extra blankets she could use. But if the heater goes on, it doesn't need to be at 80, 70, 72 max, and maybe like for 30 minutes to an hour seemed like enough time to warm up our apartment. It's one level, so it really doesn't take that long to warm up. She said that she'll turn the heater on for as long as she wanted to keep her kids warm. She said, "You don't have kids, so you don't understand. I'll also be taking as long of a shower as I want, since it's the only time I get to myself without my kids all over me." And she walked away and locked herself and the kids up in her room for the rest of the night. I wouldn't even bring up the dishes or the fact that she leaves her laundry in the washer and dryer all the time, making it so I can't wash my things for days sometimes. She doesn't want me touching her laundry at this point. So I've just started washing the dishes I use. I don't even use the dishwasher at this point. I have started sending her my half of the Wi-Fi and requesting her half of the gas and electric. I move her laundry from the washer to dryer on the one day every 2 weeks when I do laundry, because I don't have time to wait for her to get her things out anymore. So what do? I have 5 months left on the lease, but I cannot live like this, just constantly walking on eggshells. I've tried peace offerings like making coffee in the mornings on the days where I can hear the kids just being absolute chaos. I've tried asking her how she's doing since she no longer says hello to me anymore. She basically ignores the fuck out of me, and doesn't let the kids talk to me for more than like 2 minutes when I see them. The kids hate walking into the hall to the bathroom when it's dark, so I let her know I got a nightlight for them. She didn't even acknowledge it. She just sent me a request for my half of one of the bills. I don't know what to do or to even start a conversation with her about it. Since the 3 times I've tried, all I've gotten is her immediately defending herself and saying, "Well, I have kids. You don't understand." Like, I live here too. I'm very understanding about things. And just because someone has kids doesn't mean I get no say, right? I didn't have this issue the last time I lived with a kid. I lived with my best friend before she moved out of state. And whenever we had problems, we sat down and talked like adults and figured out a way to help each other. My best friend was 21 at the time, and I was 23, if that helps. Hellfreezer's note. You live there, so live there. Take up space. Don't walk on eggshells. Just live your life, and let her be as miserable as she wants to be. It sounds like she's just going to use her kids as an excuse for all of her crappy behavior from now on, and you don't need that in your life, so just steamroll on through. Live your life. Pay no mind to her. Basically act like you live alone unless you need to exchange money for bills. 4. Hi everyone, I've been living with my roommate, used to be my best mate before moving in, for nearly a year now, and his habits and cleanliness are irking me. This is going to be a long story, so please strap in and grab some popcorn. This story started right when we moved in together. When we first started moving in together, my roommate messaged me that he has found a place and asked if I wanted to move in, as we were both looking for a house. I gracefully accepted his offer. I moved in first, about 2 weeks before he officially moved in and when I had fully moved in. I asked him to move in quicker as we started paying rent already, and he went on a whole tantrum about how he found the house and he got the lease. At the end of that convo, he told me that if I didn't like it, then I should just move out, within 2 weeks of moving into the house. During that time, he didn't do much moving in, and only brought his girlfriend over, just so they can have sex in peace because he was with his family. About a month afterwards, he was fully moved in. However, his girlfriend also moved in with us. Note: he has only met this girl for less than 2 weeks before she started living at ours. His girlfriend has her own place, pays rent at that place, but spends 6 or 7 days at my house rent-free and bills-free. At first, I didn't think much of it, but after about 2 or 3 months, I finally got upset with it and brought it up to him. He again told me to move out if I didn't like it. I again kept quiet because there's such a big rental crisis where I'm from. His girlfriend has been living at our house for nearly a year now, hasn't paid a single bit of rent, and hasn't paid for any bills as we split both rent and bills 50-50. This is hard for me as I'm paying utilities bills for her as well, since I'm a university student. That is just the first part. The second part comes from his habits. Since the day we moved in, I can count how many times he has cleaned the house or taken the bins out on one of my hands. He does not care for the house at all, and leaves his garbage around the house so often. He usually leaves 20+ toilet rolls in the bin and never takes them out. Fills up our recycling bin and doesn't take it out, instead stacking more and more on top until I take it out. He's left skid marks in our toilet that he never bothered cleaning, and I have to clean it for him. When his girlfriend cooks in the kitchen, she leaves a mess all over our counter and doesn't clean them, leaving me again cleaning after their trash. When the bin is full, he keeps squishing around more and more trash until the bin bag breaks and he just leaves it there. I ultimately have to clean it up, and this has happened for a few times. He hasn't bought anything of use for the house, and we have had this conversation before, where I told him that I felt it was unfair that I was buying all the furniture, cookware, household items, while he just uses them and doesn't spend a dime at all when he makes more money than me. He also told me to move out. As you see, it is a constant topic. I feel like because he found the house, he thinks he just doesn't need anything to do with cleaning the house, and I should be a nanny for him. My roommate has also often called up the previous tenant that lived there and cussed the shit out of him due to the mess that the previous tenant left, which was true. The house really was a mess when we moved in. But he, my roommate, never made the effort to actually clean the house or take care of it. One time the cussing out got so bad that the previous tenant came over to argue face to face with him. Our lease is coming up in the next month, and I've been looking at other places, but there hasn't been luck in finding any properties that is in my budget so far. I just don't know how longer I can put up with this because 1 year has gotten me so upset. Should I move out? Thank you so much, everyone. Hellfreezer's note: yes. As soon as you're able to find something, and then hopefully you are able to find something in the time you have, move out and take every piece of furniture and every single utensil with you. Your roommate will probably get very upset about that all of a sudden. But they're yours, you paid for them, and you should take them to your new place with you. I'd maybe just wait till a time when he's not there before you move all your stuff out, to avoid the conflict. 5. Hi, I'm going to try to make this post as cohesive as possible, but I have a year's worth of information to get through. The story revolves around myself, a 21-year-old woman, and my significant other, a 21-year-old male. Our male roommate and friend, who will just be roommate for this story, he's 22, and his girlfriend from hell. She's 20. My significant other and roommate and I were best friends for a long time. Los tres amigos, 3 musketeers, a tricycle. We decided to move in together as roommates, and it was the best. It worked out in such a perfect way, you wouldn't even imagine. We still did almost everything together. Chores were perfectly divided in a way everyone agreed on. We adopted cats and everyone took care of them. Amazing. Roommate got a girlfriend, which we thought was awesome. We thought she was cool, funny, and everything was great. After a few months of dating, he asked if we would be cool if she moved in, since she spent the night often already. Not a complete stranger, they were friends for a while before dating. We said sure. Cheaper rent, more help around the house, more fun. We thought this was the perfect opportunity for double dates. I thought I was getting a built-in girl bestie, but we were wrong. It was okay for a couple of months. She was just a little messy is all, but then it just got worse. She started to leave whole pans of food out, leave messes. And I started to notice that she didn't really clean much at all. Which, okay, we'll just talk about it. Talk flopped. She felt targeted and was upset. We moved past it. She still didn't clean, then came their constant arguing about everything under the sun. Okay, whatever, none of our business. Until they started doing it consistently in front of us, all of the time. I do think couples can go through a bickering stage, but it has to pass. And girlfriend would be very aggressive, yell, cuss him out, threaten to hit him. And they get in bad moods and be passive-aggressive, slam doors, other behaviors. Then she lost her job from excessive absences, and my roommate started picking up her portion of the bills. Then there was a gradual shift with the roommate, where he became really snippy with myself and my partner. Started to fall behind on his chores, became disinterested with hanging out with us, and generally unpleasant often. When he is in a good mood, it's quickly ruined with an argument. When he does come to socialize with us, his girlfriend immediately comes out of her room and tells him to come back and watch a movie or something. Also, the whole double date thing? Yeah, no. When the girlfriend wants to go out, we're almost never invited. When she wants to go out to eat quite frequently, despite not being able to pay for it. In fact, she often asks my roommate what he's going to pay for when he gets paid. A new vape, food, gaming stuff, snacks. In fact, she feels quite entitled to his money. Again, she's still unemployed. It's been months since she had a job. She says she's looking. I get the economy is tough, but months? While being home, unemployed, girlfriend does absolutely nothing, like literally nothing. Stays in their room all day, comes out a few times, doesn't clean, downright refuses some chores like litter boxes and laundry. I've never seen her do any of the chores that she agreed with when she moved in. I've never seen her load the dishwasher. I've never seen her pick up a broom. Now let's move on to the cats. We have two. One is mine and my partner's, the other is the roommate's, and she claims to be the cat's mom. Our cat isn't bad. She just loafs all day, loves to cuddle, meows occasionally. And our cat likes to lay on the lap of whoever is sitting on the couch. Whenever roommate has the cat in his lap and is showing it any attention, girlfriend gets jealous and basically hates our cat. Jokes about killing it. Goes on and on about how the cat gets more attention than her, like really weird stuff. I brought it to our roommate's attention and told him that I really don't appreciate when she jokes about killing my cat, and the girlfriend has slowed down with it but hasn't stopped. Now, here is the final story that solidified mine and my partner's decision to not renew this upcoming lease agreement. For context, the laundry room is right outside of mine and my significant other's room. Girlfriend walks to the laundry room and tells the roommate to come switch over the clothes. In a joking tone, roommate said, "What if I don't want to?" "Then I'll slap you." He was still joking and said, "You can't slap me if I'm moving around," and started bobbing and weaving, still happily in a joking tone. She slapped him in the face. We saw it from our room. We were stunned. He immediately got upset, went to the room and slammed the door. Again, we decide it's not our business, let's not get into it. And she comes to our room and starts to complain. "I'm so mad at him." We inquire why. "I accidentally slapped him, but I told him to finish this laundry and he just got mad and went to the room." I was shocked, honestly. The lack of accountability was surreal. Here's the thing. I want to talk to our roommate. Or get my significant other to. Or maybe us both check where he's at. But generally he seems pretty dedicated to her and invests a lot of time into her despite the issues. He still calls her his future wife, plans on proposing to her in the next couple of years, and prioritizes all her wants and needs. He seems to really love her, and he puts her over us about 1,000,000 times at this point, so I don't think any talk about it would help, honestly, despite the abusive behavior. her lack of goals or aspirations, her lack of motivation, her lack of hygiene, and extreme codependency. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Besides, it's not feasible to even consider getting him alone and away from her. All this into consideration, and a lot more, that would make this post way too long. Significant other and I have decided to fly solo when our lease is up. We're going to stay very cordial and civil in the talk to try and maintain our friendship with him. But despite how shitty he's been to us over all this, he's still our friend. It's just unfortunate, overall. There's so much more I haven't included that would have your jaws on the floor. Hellfreezer's note. He may still be your friend, but for as long as she's around, he's not going to be the friend you deserve. Hopefully in time he comes to see the light and who realizes what he's in a relationship with and is able to get out of it, because he's going to need some good friends then, as getting out of an abusive relationship isn't always easy. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Bad Roommates, Episode 8. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please hit the like button. It helps YouTube recommend the video to other people. And help me keep doing this longer at the same time, then you can support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. You can support me there for as little as $1 or more a month, and you get the videos for the full week round about Monday. You'll also find a link there to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring. And if you really liked today's video, you can leave a tip by clicking on the heart with the $sign underneath the video. You don't have to do that, and you never have to do any of that, but I greatly appreciate it, and it really does help. Okay. No other business today, I think, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is something pickled that is perfectly normal for you that when you've explained it to other people always raises an eyebrow? Like, I am very fond of pickled eggs. Nothing weird about that to me, but I've occasionally explained it to people and they've been like, really? You pickle eggs? As well, no, I don't pickle them. I buy them from a store in a jar when they're pickled. But yeah, they're very good. They're great as a snack. You can slice them up, put them on as part of a sandwich. I find them very, very yummy. I especially like to, on the rare occasions when I order fish and chips, I'll get them to put a pickled egg in with it. So when I get home, it's actually kind of warm and it's extra yummy. So why don't you let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, we'll have the answer of the day from a previous video. And today's answer comes from Bad Roommates number 5. And this was, what's your favorite kind of jewelry? Today's answer comes from Zarek R Studio. And their answer is, I always have earrings in, but they're usually just plain stainless steel ones until I switch them out. But my favorite type of jewelry would be rings. I have a set of 5, technically 6, that I consistently wear all the time. On one hand, I wear a thumb ring of the non-binary flag, a black pinky ring I wear as an ace ring, and an old passed-down silver wedding band I wear on my middle finger. Then on the other hand, I wear a filigree silver-style pinky ring, and this black two-piece matching set I wear on my ring finger. They actually fit together. It's really cool looking. Thank you so much for your answer. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.